Hello and welcome back. This is my Hefco AL356 lathe. I've had this for almost a year and it's been a really good lathe. But now it's time to do the annual oil change. And to be honest, the user manual doesn't give any explanation on how to do the oil change. So I thought I'd make this video and hope that it will help out some other people that have these types of lathes. In this particular lathe, there's three areas that we need to change the oil. One is up in the headstock on the spindle area. The second area is down in the gearbox. And the third area is on the carriage there. Let me show you where the oil drain plugs are. Before we do that, note that I have unplugged the machine. I don't want this thing starting up while I'm playing around with it. So the filler cap for the apron is here. And the drain plug is directly underneath. You can see the sight glass there as well. For the spindle, the filler cap is on the top under this rubber mat, and the drain plug is right behind this big gear. And for the gearbox, the filler plug is at the top there, and the drain plug is down the bottom. This gear will need to be removed so we can get in behind here. It's quite easy on this machine. There's just one nut to undo and then that gear comes off. The drain plug is right there, but this banjo is in the way, so we need to get that moved. There's a horrible cap head screw in here, awkward position, but once that's loose, I need to take off the nut down the bottom there. However, there was a washer stuck, and once I freed it up a little bit, that banjo could move out of the way. So as you can see, that's the drain plug, and there's no way to put a tray under here and catch all the oil. Now I have a couple of good ideas. Well, they're not ideas that I thought of, they're ideas that I've seen on YouTube. So that's going to help with draining the oil. The first idea is from White Dog Garage, and what he suggests is to put your shop vac over the top of the filler plug, and that will cause a vacuum in there so that when you open the drain plug, the oil won't come rushing out. The second idea was from Maddie's workshop, and after taking the plug out, you push a funnel into the hole and then the oil will just come out of the funnel into your bucket. So we're giving it a go. My son is holding the vacuum pipe onto the filler plug. I take out the drain plug, I push the funnel in there, and that lines up the bucket, and then he stops the cleaner and the oil flows out. This worked brilliant. Now for draining the gearbox oil, and the problem here is I can't really get a drip tray or anything under here that's going to help catch the oil. So I've made up this block and this plastic piece of 40mm plumbing pipe, and that's going to sit there, and then we can take the plug out and the oil will drain down it. So here it is in practice. Plug comes out, oil goes down, and we go straight into the bucket. Again, this worked brilliant. In this shot you can see that the pipe goes quite a way up underneath, so the oil can't flow back. This is a close-up of the pipe. The oil hits about here and starts flowing down. If it does flow back, it doesn't have enough power to go back and over the edge. Now we move on to the apron. This is probably by far the easiest one to do. Just a plug at the bottom, the tray fits in there easily, and I can just leave that to drain. Once all the oils are drained, it's time to fill them up. I bought this pump. This is from Super Cheap, which is a auto store here in New Zealand and Australia. And I filled it up with the 42 hydraulic oil, which is what Hefco recommend for this lathe. Basically, the nozzle goes in and you pump it, and then keep an eye on that sight glass and stop about there. Well, I think that's right. In the instructions it says, ensure that the oil level reaches 3/4 of the quarters of the oil gauge glass. I don't know about you guys, but I see a shape with 5 points and 5 cutaway areas here. So I'm not really sure where they get their quarters from. I use the same process with the gearbox. I pump in the oil using the pump here, and we watch it come up. Now for the headstock and the spindle, I wanted to take the plate off because I want to put a magnet in there to catch any bits of metal or anything in there. Anyway, I took the screws out and I started to wedge this off, and then I realized there's a gasket there. So I chickened out of that idea and I decided to fill it up with a funnel through the filler hole on the top. Again, keeping an eye on the level as it fills up. All the oils are completed now, but before putting this back together, I wanted to change the gearing so that I can cut imperial threads. So I need to change this 30 tooth gear with this 40 tooth gear, and I also need to take this gear off and turn it round so it runs on the 127 teeth here instead of the 120 teeth. Once that is all done, the cabinet is all cleaned down and those fingerprints are rubbed off, and we're pretty much finished this part. So what I wanted to also include is to oil up the other parts of the machine. And my machine came with this oiling can. It's quite good. It's got a nice straight solid shaft with a point, and that gets into the ball oilers quite good. On the tailstock there's 3 places there to lubricate. However, on the cross slide and the saddle, there's a whole bunch of places that need to be lubricated. So I go ahead and lubricate all of those places. And then I clean off all those areas if there's any oil that's been spilt, and move the saddle and carriage. On my particular lathe, there's a couple of ball oilers at the end here where the drive rods go into as well. Firstly, I want to thank the guys at Maddie's Workshop and White Dog Garage for their ideas on changing the oil in the lathes. They certainly came in very useful. And also I made my own little ramp here for the oil out of 40mm plumbing pipe. So that could be useful for maybe someone in the future as well. Now these techniques don't have to be used on my model of lathe, they could work with many lathes. So I hope someone does find these techniques useful when they go to change the oil in their lathe. Now this is a fluid transfer pump that I bought from the local car parts store. And it worked okay in the most part, but it did hydraulic at one point. And it was just so hard I couldn't push the plunger down anymore. So I had to push this little ball in the bottom here and pump the handle a few times before I could get the system working again. As I said, it worked okay for the most part. If it does hydraulic, I know how to fix it. But in New Zealand, we don't really have much choice here. This was probably the only one I could find that was easy to get access to. I hope this video is helpful for anyone who's changing oil in their lathe, and I hope everyone has a great day, and once again, thanks for watching.